Aloha High Spa members and wellness friends. I am Cecilia Herchik, president of the Hawaii Spa Association, and I want to introduce our board. Ms. Jen Holsworth is our VP. Daryl Lyman is our treasurer. Mr. Sean Hallam is our director of education, and Ms. Sharon Otaguro is part of our advisory expert. And as we all are feeling safely cocooned in our own homes, we are at the same time extremely connected globally. And so we're hearing businesses around the world are preparing to reopen. Every industry is actually sharing great hygienic practices. Safety precautions are being put in place for everyone, staff, and of course our consumers. And we also have been extremely busy. And I want to pass the baton to Ms. Sharon. So do you want to take it away?
Yes, thank you, Cecilia. Aloha. And welcome everyone. We have a special guest today, Mr. Brian Hunnings, and it is part 2 of 6 of our High Five series. So welcome, Brian.
Aloha. How is everyone?
We are very well.
Thank you. So some housekeeping. I am going to ask everyone to mute their computers if you're not already muted, and we will have Brian sharing. We have the wonderful honor of having our general manager from the Residence Inn Kapolei, and Brian and I worked together actually 10 years ago. He has had many roles coming from Las Vegas through Hawaii. I met him at Moana Surfrider, and then he has since then worked on Maui at the Sheraton Maui, then at Turtle Bay as hotel manager, and now general manager of the Residence Inn Kapolei. So it was really important to us to have a voice of the hospitality industry. We had Dr. J last week and wanted a little bit more detail for our hotelier and wellness practitioners. So Brian, could you give us kind of a general sense of what's going on, what we need to know, what's happening in the hospitality world in Hawaii?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Sharon, first of all, for inviting me, and thank you, board, for having me. I appreciate this time. The hotel industry, as you're well aware, has really just been devastated. There's 8 out of 10 hotels across the nation, 8 out of 10 hotel rooms across the nation sit empty. 8.3 million jobs total in the hotel industry in the United States. In Hawaii, it's about 144,000 jobs. And of that number, roughly 70,000 people have either been furloughed or are just not working at all. So, total, the hotel industry is losing about $2 billion a week. Since the shutdown on March 16th, it's been a total of $24 billion that has not come in. It's just devastating. This hasn't been seen since 9/11. You look at the STAR reports, you talk to the industry experts, and literally what you're hearing right now is that, hopefully we will be able to maintain a 38% occupancy year-round for this year for most hotels, not resorts and not select service, but as an average total. Here in Hawaii, we continue to struggle with, are we still doing quarantine? Are we not quarantining? Are we allowing travelers to come in? I'm sure most of you saw the news yesterday that Kauai just extended their 30-day quarantine ban on travelers through June 30th. My hotel, I'm currently at the Residence Inn in Kapolei, and we're doing a little better than most hotels. We're still open. We are an extended stay hotel, which means that all of our units have a full kitchen. So we had quite a few families, Kama'aina families, that were with us right around the shutdown time that had nowhere else to go because their houses had either burned down or they had plumbing issues and they were locked out their houses. So we made a decision not to close and to stay open. And we're actually at 90% occupancy, which is kind of crazy. Our hotel is full mostly of these extended stay guests. We have 183 rooms, of which probably 38 are extended stay. And then we have the rest is mostly government. We have NOAA with us here completing a project. They're with us for 3 months. And then the rest is really the National Guard, which was supposed to check out All of them were supposed to check out on the 17th. However, just literally 45 minutes ago, we got notice that they need to extend now through the end of June. So some insider information that shows me that Oahu is going to also follow Kauai and extend their quarantine through the 30th. So it hasn't been published yet, I'm sure, but I'm sure that Mayor Caldwell and Governor Ige will probably be coming live shortly to back up what Mayor Kawakami is doing on Kauai. So welcome to the new normal. I don't know what to tell you. Our hotel, even though we're at 90%, I really, it's, you know, we are following the quarantine rules. Our guests that are here on quarantine, which when it first happened around March 16th, we had probably about a dozen rooms that were checking in that were technically on vacation, but we were left to be the police, and it was not an admirable position to be in. Our team was, you know, very much, you know, nobody wants to be the bad guy in hospitality, and to suddenly go from enjoy your vacation and go on these hikes to don't walk out your door was quite the adjustment. And we actually had almost all of those rooms check out and go to an Airbnb situation. But now it's gotten so stringent that when you check in, we just had one arrival yesterday, a family of 4 that's moving here from California. So they're on quarantine, but for the 14 days, they are literally in lockdown and they have a one-shot key. So they're stuck in their room. All food orders need to be delivered. We're delivering groceries to them. It's really kind of tough. All of our public areas are closed. Our pool's not open, our gym's not open. We do have a guest laundry facility area that is open, but that's really about it. Now, we're much more fortunate than a lot of hotels, and as you're well aware, most of Waikiki is shut down. Most of Ko'olina is shut down on Oahu. Marriott Ko'olina is still open, our sister property, only because of the situation with their ownership fractionally down there. But really, it's been quite a turn, truthfully. Any questions?
Yeah, so a couple questions have come in, Brian, about your thoughts on kind of spa and wellness, and you touched on it a little bit, but what do you think about, you know, the fitness center versus pool versus massage and facials? And then some of the questions, what does that mean to you, or any thoughts from the industry about essential business-wise as spa and wellness? And then also the one key policy. So if you can touch a bit about the different departments, pool, fitness.
Yeah, I mean, particularly, I mean, it was really, I mean, nobody knew what to do. You know, the last time this has happened was 1938, when the last pandemic really hit. So nobody really has learned their history lessons well. Clearly completely different, even though the Great Depression, even in the Great Depression, hotel occupancy was better than what we're experiencing right now, which is kind of scary if you think about it. You know, I think it just scared a lot of people. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody really, even to this day, you look at the news, fake news, what is real, what's not, how's it spread? There's a lot of unanswered questions, and more than likely, it's going to remain that way. I really, you know, I was watching reports this morning, and they're saying that this may just be one of those diseases that we end up living with for the rest of our lives, similar to HIV and AIDS. You know, it may just be around forever if we cannot get a vaccine for it. And that's kind of scary. You know, the one thing that I can say and what I've seen, not only in our hotel, but just talking to fellow industry professionals is, you know, the spa and wellness and more than anything, personal care in general is incredibly important. And you see the two extremes. You know, we've got employees that, you know, have been furloughed, and, you know, we try to reach out to them weekly and either through text or email or a phone call just to touch base. And there's so many people that are struggling right now, and it really just comes down to human touch. Like, what is safe, what's not. And we food drive for our associates on May 1st on Lay Day, and we have about 110 total employees, of which right now only 22 are working. And it was so great, literally, to see everyone cruise through and pick up their groceries and stuff to get them through, at least for a little bit. But the one thing that was mind-breakingly hard was not being able to hug, not being able to honey, not being able to touch each other. And I can only imagine what that is. I mean, we all know what we're going through internally in our own homes, you know, good or bad. You see the reports of domestic abuse skyrocketing, child abuse skyrocketing. You see suicides left and right now. People really do need to have human interaction and human touch. So as an industry, now more than ever, I really think the ability for spa and wellness salons, there's a definite need for it. How can it be done safely? I think, you know, knock on wood, I don't want to botchy us at all here at our hotel, but, you know, we've been running 90% occupancy since really the third day of April. Now, granted, a lot of that is National Guard, and that's super easy business. They all get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They go out in our parking lot and do their PT, and then they go to base and they come back at 7 o'clock at night, and then they go straight to bed because they got to repeat it 7 days in a row. But we also have families that, you know, are very impacted, and they're the ones, you know, coming in with the bikes and riding around our parking lot and really just trying to maintain our sanitation and safety protocols. I mean, our team here at the hotel, you know, I don't want to say that we've become policemen Gestapo, but we kind of have. Like literally every single person that comes in without a mask, we're like, "Where's your mask? You need to put it on." You know, we've tried to introduce measures where, you know, stickies and clings on the floor rather than barriers. We do have, you know, face shields on our housekeeping team. We do have, you know, the face shields at the front desk, the sneeze guards at the front desk. But we've had to shut down our restaurant, our bar, everything.
Yeah, gosh, it's so, I can go so many different directions, and thank you for sharing that. I think it is definitely going to be a balance between safety and service moving forward for a long time to come. And you mentioned the need for touch, and so I just want to share, you know, the mental health piece of it, the massage and facial piece of it, the Global Wellness Summit. You and I were talking about that or emailing about that. Really has a lot of resources, and they're really trying to push spas and wellness as essential business, primarily because COVID can't survive in heat and humidity, right? And so there's a lot of data that's proving and supporting that. So really to share that message and promote that, I think is essential. And we, High Spa, will also put some resources of some research that supports that for all of our community as well. So thank you. One additional question kind of tied into what you mentioned, Brian, is your thoughts about the one key policy and the Airbnb. Is that an advantage, disadvantage? Can you kind of touch on that? And perhaps even, yeah, go ahead.
I think the one key policy is actually a pretty good policy, honestly, because I think the one thing that we've come to understand, there's so much frustration in the community. You see it, especially here on the west side for us. Like, don't even think of going down into Waianae because they do not want you down there on their beaches. It's just like, it's almost to the point where, you know, if you even look like a tourist, it's becoming a little bit inhospitable for you. So anything that we can do, you know, the best part about Hawaii is we're so much stronger together than we are when we get into these separate cliques. And I think especially now that we all need to be reminded of that constantly, that regardless of where you stand on whether we should open all the businesses up or whether we should bunker down and just get through this together, the most important part is that it's bigger than just you. And I think that's why Hawaii is, as a place and a destination, is so special to so many people. That sense of aloha and, you know, us all caring for each other. It's really what it boils down to. So if it takes us as a hotel to be the ones to, when a guest comes in, you know, take their temperature with a thermal thermometer, which we do. We have a form that they have to fill out that basically states that they are not knowingly coming in contact with someone with COVID-19. I mean, we are participating in the Heroes for Hope program, which a lot of other hotels are as well, where we have our first responders that are staying in-house with us, who are trying to protect their families. We have to protect all these people, and therefore not one person on our team in any way, shape, or form has a problem with policing the one key. And we'll keep the time at the front desk. And now keep in mind too, it's not like the old days when you would have, 40 to 120 check-ins in a day. We're talking like you've got 3 today. I mean, we got excited last week because we had 11 in one day. I mean, we're like, yeah, 11 check-ins. The opportunity for us and our desk agents to really get to know each other, more importantly, I think, which is what also makes us as a destination more special. Like, by the time we take the time to understand and explain it to guests, they're 100% in support and understand it. Now, in the beginning, when everything was up in the air, I think there was a lot of guests that were like, you're infringing my holiday. And they just didn't get it. And those are the ones that went to the Airbnbs. And I hate to say it, but there was a lot of, Airbnbs that are operating illegally here in the islands in general, especially here on Oahu. I live on the North Shore. I still live on the North Shore. Laie in general has like almost 7,500 illegal vacation rentals just from Kahuku through where I live in Ka'ava. So that's a tremendous amount of businesses that went out of business that struck right at the end of the year back in December when the laws changed. And I think now, especially with what's going on, people still need to feed their families. Everybody's struggling. So, I mean, there's a lot of creative ways. We're hearing from our guests where there's a loophole now with the vacation rentals where you can't rent by the night, but you can rent a property for a month. And you can stay on Airbnb by renting for 30 days. And what a lot of illegal vacation rentals are doing is they're telling their guests to book for a month, guest stays for a week, and then they refund 3 weeks back to them, which is why I think we continue to see this cycle of people coming in. And, aspirationally, I think the guests that are coming in as well, airfares have never been cheaper. I mean, you can fly here for $84 if you wanted from San Francisco. So that's not the clientele that I think a lot of hotels in Hawaii are used to seeing. And a lot of these guests are coming and really just they want to experience it all, but they never have the money to do it. And they don't really care at this point about what they're trying to do or who they're trying to infringe upon.
Well, thank you so much. You kind of spoke about it, and so I'm going to go back to it because it's one of our high five questions. But Aloha spirit is such a core part of the industry. So kind of shifting to that, Brian, where do you see maintaining the Aloha spirit in the new normal? And how are you and your company going to do that?
We do our focus is always our employees. When we built this property from the ground up, which is one of the reasons why I chose to come to do that, because who gets to open a property from the ground up? You just don't get that opportunity. And Western States Staging and Management, I actually met them at Turtle Bay. A lot of their children go to BYU in Laie, and that's kind of how that relationship started. And they knew that we were selling Turtle Bay right before Blackstone purchased it. And they were like, so are you going to stick around? And I was like, well, that's really more up to Blackstone than anything. But they were like, well, if you want, we're getting ready to build a new hotel in Kapolei. And I was like, wait, new hotel? And that's why I jumped on board here. And when I did that, the first person I brought on board was Kelly Kitashima, who's our director of sales and marketing. And Kelly's fantastic. She's got a vast, she's former Miss Aloha. She ran for city council. She lost by 3 votes, primarily because she's not, corrupt enough, is what I always joke with people. But it was important for us to really create Kapolei as a destination. And to do that, we knew that we wanted to hire as many people from the west side as we possibly could. Just the commute into town, anyone that gets on the H1 or the H3, spending 2 hours a day in traffic, 4 hours a day, if you live on the side to get to work in Waikiki is just not sustainable. And you talk about human touch and families and aloha, the one thing you can't put a price on is time. And so from the very start, we knew, and we hired probably 98.8% of our staff is from the west side. And that was life altering for a lot of our team. And I'm very proud to say that since we opened back in September of last year, we've had minimal turnover. We've had less than I want to say 0.7% of our opening team has left. And that's primarily because, one, we make them feel special. Our hotel, we opened with 70 positions. We had nearly 9,000 people apply for 70 positions, which is ridiculous. So what do we always tell our team is, you were hand selected. We chose you out of everybody. And just that pride and that innate, that startup of opening a brand new property, we all went through it. So we're very bonded. But more importantly, the sense of aloha is strong on the West Side. And I think you look, when I'm on the West Side, I feel like I'm in Hawaii, to be honest with you. When I go to Waikiki, no offense, Waikiki, I don't feel it so much. And for us to maintain that tradition and influence it, it's all about being part of the family unit, being there for people and checking in on them and maintaining that. And I'm so proud of my team that even though we're being forced to do like this one-shot key policy, or being dealing with homelessness and homeless people that are coming onto our property, we always do with the law in our heart. And we always treat our guests as if they're literally our guests and they're coming into our home. And I can't think of any better way to do that than just being present, showing that you care. We do a stand-up every day, even when there's only 3 of us here. It gets a little repetitive, but it's those kind of things that we do that really binds us and maintains that aloha spirit. And then the third part is, we also wanted to make sure that we were community-centered when we owned the property. So we try to do some kind of fundraising, community give back every 2 weeks, whether that's through a food drive or being a food pickup donation area. It was interesting, over the holidays, we did Aloha Angel Trees on every one of our floors. So as soon as you got off the elevator, we're only 4 floors. So every floor, as soon as you got off the elevator, we had angel trees on every floor. And Salvation Army, the Kroc Center, we partnered with them. They're a fantastic organization. We were the #1 spot in Oahu for donations, out of everywhere, including, like, we beat, the malls. And they were like, and like our back office was ridiculous. We had so many toys, we had so many packages, but it's things like that that really don't take a lot of effort, which make a huge impact for people. And just, freely giving of our time, our space, groups come in all the time. How can we, we're looking for space. We don't really have a lot of money. Can you work around our budget? And if we believe in it and we think it's great and it adds to the community, then absolutely. And then more so, I think what that ties into as well is our guests that do come from the mainland, when we had them, very much are of the spirit that they want to give back. They want to be involved. They want to know where they can go and help, restore native plant species, or where they can go, what beach they should go to participate in a beach cleanup. And because we try to do one of these things every 2 weeks, it really provides an opportunity for our guests to join us and do it.
Thank you, Brian. I think our industry has shown in some of the stories how we can actually take the time right now to give back, right? And do different food drives and participation. What you said really resonates in a lot of our community voices, in that the ohana and the community that we're really kind of honing in on with our teams are just becoming so much more powerful. So thank you very much for that. That resonates with the Aloha spirit. So tell us about kind of the outlook going forward. I'm hearing a lot that it's the fall, the autumn that might see a resurgence. Perhaps speak about the different segments. Extended stay is inflated right now. What is the outlook for that versus luxury versus full service? I think business and convention hotels might have a different impact. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what this new normal has taught us is that we all don't need to go to an office 9 to 5 and work 40 to 60 hours. I think and that's going to be a very positive thing. I think at the end of all of this, that there's going to be a little bit more of work-life balance when things start going back to normal. Possibly you'll see like a 3-day work week where you actually got to check in, and you have 2 days that you work remotely from home, because everything that everybody said that's not possible. Well, guess what? We're doing it now. So I think of all the segments that are probably going to take the longest to recover will probably be the business travel, because I think that like what we're doing right now with this Zoom, I think a lot of companies, especially on the build back up to where companies were, are going to rely on tools like this much more, just from a cost standpoint, because they just can't do it. I think it's going to be a while before we see large conventions. Though I got to say, I am pleasantly surprised that a lot of the business that we've booked that is business related, rather than flat out canceling, and what I'm hearing is there's a lot of rescheduling going on. They're pushing to 2021 or 2022. And I think that everybody's just kind of feeling it out. You know, extended stay, I think, is always going to be the leader, because it's a necessity, right? We fill so many niches. I think it's going to be far easier for extended stay to come back much quicker. And a lot of it is INA-based, local-based business. And then I firmly believe that, you know, luxury and resort, higher end, will come back, but at a moderate pace. You know, you're always going to have, I think, Hawaii more than anything. Just, you know, I look at weddings. Normally we average 4 to 5 wedding groups staying with us, even at extended stay, a week. And then, you know, you look at the big beach resorts, it's much more than that. And that's not really ever going to go away. And you will have all that. That will probably be the first type of business that is going to bring it back strong. And that's good business to have, especially for spas and wellness, because everybody wants the bridal party to get together and have their, you know, their massages and the hair done and the makeup, and go get the, the manicures and the pedicures. That's what I believe.
Was the doctor back in the day, right? That the doctors also, because they were so good with sharp knives, were also the barbers in old town communities. So
yeah,
I think the beauty and wellness and parts of our health and wellness industry evolved from hygiene and health practices, right? And then we took it to the luxury and the wellness level. So that actually leads perfectly into what advice, Brian, do you have for us in the health and wellness community?
Oh my God, I would pay $500 for a haircut right now. So anybody know anybody? I mean, I think self-care and pampering ourselves. I think everybody is so tired of being cooped up with their families at this point. Even the best families, you know, you don't see, like, I keep watching the posts on social media, and they've slowly dwindled. Like, I'm so happy to be home with my family and my loved one. And now you don't see anything. It's like crickets. So I think everybody's reached that point where they want to get back to some kind of just social interaction with someone other than their family. And I think, if anything, I feel like just what we've done at our hotel, and especially every major hotel brand is coming forth. You know, Four Seasons just released they're partnering with Johns Hopkins University. You know, Hilton's partnering with Lysol. You know, Marriott has created this whole new board of wellness and sanitation experts. And we've got like this 120-point sanitation process that every room will go through. And truthfully, I kind of feel like we're already doing that. I mean, we've been forced to do that because we've been open during this entire part. And knock on wood, we haven't had any of our associates, any of our guests that have actually, to our knowledge, contacted COVID. But we've become a tight little knit community, and human touch is so important. Massage is so important. That's not going to go away. And more than anything, I mean, if people want to get, their haircut, which every single person does, you also have those spa, you all have them in your businesses, your spa regulars it's not going to stop them from coming, right? And I think once that we show and commit to our guests, that they see that our facilities are clean, that we're constantly sanitizing, that we have procedures in place that is going to keep them more protected than not, they're going to come back, and they'll come back in droves. I think, right now in particular, it's been very interesting watching people who have, pivoted completely and are really taking this quarantine in a new direction. I see so many people. I have friends, like a good friend of mine, Marisa. She's a wellness and sommelier out of Aspen. And I was cracking up because she's doing sound healings via Zoom. And she's just telling her people to bring their speakers up to as loud as they possibly can. And she's with the bowls and she's doing the chants. And I was talking to her and I was like, and she's like, it's another form of touch. She was like, sound will just penetrate your body. And though I can't be there to physically touch them, the sound will go through and accomplish what I need to accomplish. And I just thought, my God, that's just brilliant. Like absolutely brilliant. And so I think there's so many opportunities, especially in the wellness sector, that if we just get a little bit more creative, could get out there and bring us business when it's ready to come back. I think that's the most important part.
Well, as long as I've known you, Brian, you are one of the most creative people I know. So I love that advice of creativity. I also heard advice of wellness strong, just stay strong, because the demand is there when we reopen as well. So thank you for that. That's really great. So tell me then, for wellness, what have you, Brian, done to maintain your wellness in this time?
I've been bunkered down here. No, for me with wellness, it's really about just maintaining and making sure. I think like everybody else, is just like my first year of college, I've put on the, the freshman 25. I think we all turned to food to cope a little bit. And then, just recently I've been talking to a friend of mine who's a dietitian, and I'm starting this whole fitness program. And even though I can't use even our gym here, I've got the elastic bands and I'm doing what I possibly can. My dogs are in love with me. They've never spent this much time with me. I think they look at me and like, is something wrong? Why are you here? You're way too much. Even myself, a self-prescribed workaholic, I've gone from, when we opened this property, I worked 155 days straight without a day off. And just basically slept here in the hotel, was here 24/7 because I wanted to open perfectly and make sure that everything went great. Now I'm the type of person where it comes to 8 hours and I'm like, okay, bye guys, love you. And not that I have anything to do at home other than like repairs to, my home or mow the lawn. But just making sure that I'm finding that balance, because what I'm finding is our guests, there's still a lot of fear and still a lot of anxiety, and people don't have human touch. So they need that emotional connection, that support from people. And whether that's just simply sharing a story or talking about loved ones that they haven't seen for a while. And as you're all aware, you're all healers. When you're in the wellness industry, you're a healer. You get it pulled out of you and you need to recharge. And I think anything, whatever is your place of happiness, you need to find it. Like Marie Kondo, I think is fantastic, but I think at this point, 7 weeks in, we've all Marie Kondoed our houses to no end, and nothing's giving us joy anymore, and everything's gone. So, whether it's a bubble bath or reading a book or just going for a walk, whatever finds your joy, make sure that you're taking it, because these are scary times, and we need to maintain a level head and make sure that we're there for people as much as we possibly can.
Great. Thank you so much. So we kind of circled around the different questions, but I do want to kind of finish with, you talked about having stayed open this whole time, and congratulations, not having any confirmed cases. That's so huge. What do you think in this new normal will be practices that will stay? So what is the new normal changes on how you do business? Is it the shower curtains we're seeing in some of the restaurants in Ohio? Is it?
It's going to be the cones of silence that drop down over the table, like the old Get Smart show. Yeah, let's hope not, right? I just think that as a destination, hopefully it never gets to that, because our culture is just sharing so much of ourselves. But I will say, masks are going to be a thing that are going to be here forever. Social distancing is going to be something that's going to be here for quite a while. We're going to have to, it's funny, yesterday we had a meeting between our EC team, and we just all came into our back office area. We all got our chairs and we just naturally placed ourselves 6 feet away from each other. And we were like, whoa, did we just do that? We just naturally did that. Like it was second nature for us. But it was funny that, here it is, what is it, 29 days to create a habit? We're so far in that we've created this habit now that it's normal for us. It is our new normal. So I think, there's going to be a few things. The downside, one of the things that I do worry about, just because of what I keep seeing coming through, is, especially being on an island, we all pride ourselves on being so environmentally concerned. But we've got, our health inspector Keegan just came by 2 weeks ago to tell us, hey, buffets are a thing of the past. You're never going to be able to do a buffet. And for hotels that offer, a buffet, if they're going to continue to do it, they're going to have to be someone manned serving each dish or each station. So guests will no longer be able to come up, grab the spoon, put the eggs on their plate, put the bacon on their plate. That's going away. Hawaii as a state is adopting the CDC recommendations. That's going to radically change a lot of things, especially for the food and beverage industry. More than anything, single-use items are going to go through the roof. He's telling us you're not going to be able to use like coffee cups or silverware or plates because they don't want the germs that are on those items to go back and potentially infect an employee or another guest. Self-serve coffee stations, thing of the past. So these are going to radicalize hotels, definitely change the restaurant industry. You look, especially on the mainland, all these big chains that are basically buffet restaurants, they're not even reopening. They're basically furloughing all their employees, telling them, sorry, we're tapping out. It's going to be too expensive for us to change that. My worry here is that through the use of so many single-use items, disposable plates, disposable cups, disposable spoons, things like that, it's just going to add to the environmental impact, which is why I really do hope that we get back to a sense of normalcy or create something that we're not going to have to do so much trash in general. I think that's going to be one of the things that we'll have to all really think out of the box and how we're going to do that.
Thank you. Well, it's great to know that, especially for a lot of us in the wellness industry that are sustainably minded, that all the GMs are considering it and thinking about that impact and how to mitigate the impact. But just the adamant belief that you have that the spa and wellness industry is here to stay and so strong and so important, that the need that we should focus on is how to be creative and how to adapt and figure out ways to be able to serve our guests and really invite them into our home as part of our ohana. So those are messages we've always had, and just great to hear that they're continuing. So it's about that time, but thank you so much. If there are any questions that we, our listeners, our community have, perhaps it's time to take that. But any final words, Brian, before we go to questions?
No, just keep your spirits up, keep your chins up. You guys serve such an amazing purpose. You are such a big part of why people come really to any hotel resort in the world, but especially here in Hawaii. Lomi Lomi and different spa packages that are here really have created such demand for this as a destination. Don't be at home and be like, what can I do? Really just start thinking, my best advice is get out on social media, do what you guys are doing right now. Get out there. I think what you're going to see, one of the things that's going to change is you're going to see less social media influencers, just people that, travel and look pretty as they travel. And you're going to get, it's going to turn much more into a destination of who can actually influence me with information or knowledge that I need. And I think as wellness experts, the ability for you guys to get out and just live stream and talk about simple massage tips to, offer, relieves anxiety or stress at home. Are you with your loved one? Try these simple techniques to massage your partner, your wife, your husband. Like things like that, I think will grow your brand and bring people back to your in particular areas much quicker than just, being home and worried like everybody else is. I'll leave you with a quote from my grandmother. She used to tell me all the time, worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Get out there and just do something, but don't be afraid.
Thank you so much, Brian. Do you have time for one or two questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. If anybody has a question or comment, feel free to unmute yourself, which is on the bottom left of your screen, and you can ask a question or two.
Brian, I have a quick question for you, and thanks again for being here. This has been really great and really informative. With you being open throughout this time, can you touch just briefly on your relationship with some of your vendors? Some of our members here on the board are vendors and some of the product lines. So with you sourcing and continuing to have to purchase things throughout this time, have you found any shortages, or have you had any challenges in relationships with your vendors over this time, with them not being able to reopen or provide the things that you need?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, right away, whenever there's any disaster in Hawaii, toilet paper is the first thing to go. This one was a little bit different. So it was true for hotels as well. I mean, we were scared for about a good week until we found another vendor that could help us in that direction. But it was nearly impossible, and still it's just now starting to come around. Anything that has to do with sanitation, like ZaniClean, antiseptic wipes, Clorox wipes, things like that have been super hard for us to find. I have to give mad props to like Maui Brewing Company on Maui, who did the antiseptic, was giving out freely. Our owner of this hotel are actually in Utah. Same thing. They were literally shipping us gallons and gallons of hand sanitizer and antiseptic from a local brewery in Utah so that we could just operate. I mean, we were literally taking old single shot shampoo containers and emptying the shampoo out, making little hand sanitizer containers for our guests. That was a challenge. I think now that we've been into it now for 2 months, we're starting to see that supply stream has been fine. What's been most impacted, I think, from us is really just the F&B side. We're not ordering the amount of food that we did. Our liquor distributors, that side of the business has just been crushed. And Hawaii in particular, there's only a 3-day supply of food on this island. We just do not have enough to support ourselves. So what they bring in, and with the shipping schedules the way they are, those are arranged months and months in advance. So, that's why I think supporting Hawaii Food Bank, our food distributors have probably taken losses in the millions, but they've had to donate all this product going out, at least going out, and people are finding a way to get it out to people who need it. But yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest. We haven't had a problem really with anything else. I think it's really one of the things that we're seeing, interestingly enough, from our guests is they want things that are being produced locally. They don't want things that are being flown in. So we've had a lot of demand for that, and thank goodness for farmers markets that are still opening and operating, and just connections in the industry.
Thank you.
I'd like to get your opinion. Firstly, thank you for a most informative presentation. You really gave us a lot of food for thought. The questions that have been going through my mind is that formerly, to hotels and to spas, we were always worried about revenue and guest service. One matching the other and one going hand in hand. And, there seems to be now, as we look forward, a whole new dimension of sanitation and hygiene, and this new, almost becoming an equal factor in what used to be those two, revenue and guest service, is now there's this very, very present hygiene and sanitation expectation. And so 2 questions, really. What are hotels thinking about? Will they say, because it's just becoming too much hassle for us to continue, or have we just got to deal with this new normal and continue the business and try and be as profitable as we can? And my second question is that when we as spas start opening, we have got all these protocols that we're working out, that we have got sanitization and enhancing of procedures and protocols and all these changes that we're going to make in our operations. But will we have the supplies, the real sanitation supplies ready on hand without us saying, yes, we're going to open next week, and then suddenly find we don't have all these supplies with us? So it's kind of like a double question, but you raised sanitation, and those 2 things came to mind as I was listening to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sanitation is going to, skyrocket in the short term. I think once people, like anything else, become aware of what works and what doesn't work. 2 points to answer your second part of your question. I think yes, you're going to be able to find the supplies that you need now that it's been 2 months, and that people have worked to build up this inventory of items, and it's just now starting to get, particularly here in Hawaii. I can say, the N95 masks were like, you were looking on eBay and people were selling, 3 of them for $1,700. I mean, just ridiculous things going on, but it happens during any kind of crisis, right? We just got our first shipment of N95 masks in, and we're how many weeks in? 9 weeks in now since this thing started. We've all survived with our masks. Our cloth masks, which were mostly made by our fellow employees, that we were giving out to our guests, as well as just a little sign of aloha. I think the most important part of that whole equation is really just training your team and making sure that, because they're really the ones that are going to make sure that it happens or not, right? You can have all the hand sanitizer in the world, you can have all the masks you need, but if they're not washing their hands every 20 minutes, if they're not wiping every elevator bank down every 20 minutes, then that's where the issues are going to, come up, right? It needs to be top focus for everyone. And, one of the things that our guests constantly remark on is, compared to other hotels, your team is always moving. They're always cleaning something. They're always wiping something, because we instill that in them. We're constantly walking around making sure that it happens. I think for the spa industry in general, your lounges and things like that, I think are going to be a problem area, just like they are for any airline industry is going to have issues with how they do seating. For us, it's our lobby and our common areas, our pool areas. It's really about removing seats, making sure that we're maintaining that 6 feet of distance between people. And then, but it's really just, it's going to boil down to our people. To answer the first part of your question, I think smart operators are going to realize the importance of it. And because they're going to be left in the dust if they don't, because people will know right away. You can walk into a property, and most of the people here on this call, I think, have had resort experience. We've all been in those resorts where there is no wrappers on the ground. There is no pillow that is not perfectly like karate chopped in the middle that's in the lobby. We're all trained to be that way. But whereas before it used to just look tidy, now it needs to not only look tidy, but it better smell clean. And you better see people moving. And will it cost a little bit more money? I think so. Yeah, you're going to have to spend a little bit more on labor. But that's going to have to be balanced. I think any smart person, any good operator, whether you're a spa, whether you're a hotel, or whether you're a restaurant, will figure out a way to make it profitable. And there's really only one industry that I know of that really survives by killing their guests, and that would be the tobacco industry. But we have to maintain and make sure that we are looking out for our guests and their safety and creating that memory for them. So when they have a choice, they're going to be like, yeah, maybe I could have gone down and spent time at Aulani. Sorry if there's anybody from Aulani on the call. But really, Residence Inn in Kapolei just looked cleaner. It smelled cleaner. Like, that's what I need, and that's how we'll be able to not only survive but thrive moving forward. But great question,
Brian. I love that plug. But what you said resonated so clearly, I think, on a lot of the different global calls that we're hearing, which is visibility and training, right? That we need to be visibly present and cleaning constantly, and our staffs showing that they're constantly refreshing areas, and then that we're training and taking the time for our team to give them the support and the tools and also the training on what this new norm looks like. So thank you so much. We are going to wrap up and take 10 minutes for some updates for Hawaii Spa Association. But Brian, thank you so much for jumping on this call with us and sharing your insights of the industry.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Brian.
Aloha.
Thanks, Brian. Aloha.
We're going to shift over, thank you, Brian, shift over to Sean Hallam, our Director of Education, and he's going to share a little bit about some of the other voices of the community that we've brought on. And Sean, take it away.
Aloha. Wow, that was amazing. Oh my gosh. It's like a funnel of information. I couldn't drink it fast enough. Very, very insightful. So thank you, Sharon, for arranging this incredible guest. Brian had so much to share with all of us. And so in that spirit, we want to keep the flow going with information. So by now, as Sharon mentioned, you know that we're in week 2 of our 6-week series, and we promise to have a ton of additional excellent content for you to use and to engage us in the weeks to come. You should all be able to see on your screen now just the Hawaii Spa Association website, because I want to make sure that everyone remembers that we have a new website, hawaiispassociation.com, as we touched on last week. And if you actually click or scroll down the page, you'll see under the What's Happening section, you see various links there, education and resources, the COVID reopening guidelines, and then the Navigating Together series, which is what we're actually doing now. So if we click on that Navigating Together series, you can actually see that we've uploaded some videos for you in advance, because we know that as much as we'd like to meet every day with you, once a week is probably working very well with your schedules, but people have been reaching out to us, and we've been reaching out to people on your behalf, and they've got lots to share. So we're going to, in addition to connecting with you in the weeks to come, we've got 4 more sessions left. We will add some supplementary videos of interviews on our website. So please check those out. You can actually see, if you go to the website, we have our one from last week with Dr. J. We have one with Chad May and one with Jay Muller. So that is already there for your review. Please check them out if you haven't done so already. And next week, so that you know, we are going to be featuring a video during our live session with Robin Williams from Ola Tropical Apothecary. And then we're going to have a live Q&A with your board members and with all of you. So what we'd like to do is to be able to synthesize all of the information that you've received so far from last week, this week, the videos we put on the website, and the discussions that we've had, not only with the board, but in the community, and just sort of bring that to next week so that we can have a live discussion that's meaningful to you. Also, if there are members who are reviewing this video, if you're looking at it on video or if you're here live and you would like to be interviewed in the weeks to come, please do let me know about that. I'd love to hear from you. And so that's all I got on my end. I'd like to actually move it on over to Jen to close us out.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you again for joining. I just wanted to take a quick second just to say thank you for being here. And I'm so excited about this series, so excited about all this content. Next week, I'm really excited. As Sean mentioned, we have Robin. We'll have a video from Robin from Ola. And I think it's just really important that all of us not only are staying connected together, but also with our vendors, because as Daryl mentioned earlier, when this all does come to an end and we open up, we're going to have to open just like that, and we're going to be relying on those vendors. We're going to need them in order to get up and running quickly. So I'm excited for next week. Please join us and take a look at the videos. Jay and Chad, both vendor members of ours, one from Techno Gym, one from fitness. I'm blanking on Chad, sorry, commercial fitness, but they have really great insight as well. So again, thank you for being here. We're so excited for this series, and thank you to the board for all of your hard work to put it together, and we'll see you right back here next week.
Aloha team, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you. See you next week. Thank you.
Aloha.